All right, welcome back to First Team Fantasy. For our next game, we have the Jaguars at the Steelers. The Jaguars won it 20-10 in what was not the prettiest game, but I'm sure Schiff's happy to see the Steelers lose. Starting it with Trevor Lawrence, I mean, a solid week. 24 of 32, 292 yards, a touchdown, an interception, one rush for 10 yards, 15.68 fantasy points. He's one that people thought, myself included, especially with Calvin Ridley now being there, that he was going to take this giant leap. Has not done it this season. He's actually regressed decently. He's only thrown 2 touchdowns in 2 games so far. Every other game has been 1 touchdown or less. He's currently the QB 14 on the season. And we just haven't seen, like, I expected multiple weeks of 3 or 4 touchdown games where he's given you 25 plus fantasy points, and he just hasn't come close to it. And I mean, that could be because ETN's running the ball so efficiently.
I was going to say, the Jags have been winning on the back of Travis Etienne and their defense.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't know. Jaguars fans aren't mad because they're winning games, but if you're a Trevor Lawrence fantasy owner, he's just one of those guys I'm looking at where he's not completely burning you, but by no means is he winning you any fantasy games. I mean, if anything, I don't want to say he's losing you some games, but I mean, when you're getting multiple 15-point weeks out of your quarterback, it's not the greatest. There's just been other options out there. Like, I'm just saying how we talked about a Sam Howell. He has a lower floor than Trevor Lawrence, but we also see his upside, which so far the season has been higher. So it just depends how your team's built. But Trevor Lawrence, I don't know, we're getting deeper into the season and I'm waiting for it to click where he just starts going off, but it just has not happened yet. But it's hard to bring him to the bench when he's on, an offense that has so many weapons on it. And his should be number 1 receiving target, Calvin Ridley, had a solid week. Yeah, solid week. 6 catches, 83 yards, 10 targets, 14.3 fantasy points. A good week for Calvin coming off last week.
Are bad. They have a bad pass defense. That is something that we did talk about. If there was a week, this was the week, and this was the week.
Yeah, and then, I mean, they have a bye next week. Then they play the Niners, who have been susceptible through the air as of recent. And then they have the Titans, who also are susceptible through the air. But, solid week from Calvin Ridley. But he now has 4 double-digit weeks and 4 single-digit weeks. And as someone that was being drafted in the 3rd round, that isn't the greatest thing to see.
I would wrap it up like this. Look at the way Calvin Ridley just did this week. They're going into the bye. They're obviously going to find ways to target him more going into the next 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'd use to ship him off my team and get someone more reliable. That is the pitch right there.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And then, Christian Kirk only saw 5 targets, caught 4 of them, 46 yards, 8.6 fantasy points. He's another one that, okay, the past 3 weeks, they played the Colts. He had 13.9 fantasy points because he caught a touchdown. He only had 3 catches for 49 yards. The Saints, very solid game. 6 catches, 90 yards. Only 6 targets, though. Caught a touchdown. Very solid game. And then this week, he sees 5 targets. So when I'm looking at, week 2 through 5, 14 targets, 6, 12, and 8, and then 6, 6, and 5 the past 3 weeks, I like Christian Kirk a lot. By no means am I saying to move him, anything like that. He's going to be very consistent. It's just, I don't know why I'm seeing 6 targets consecutive weeks for Christian Kirk. And again, when you have him, you have Ridley, you have Evan Ingram, Zay Jones, if he decides to play football after the bye, it's going to get muddled.
I'm telling you, Evan Ingram is this man's favorite target.
Yeah. No, Evan
Evan
Ingram.
Ingram is his favorite target by far. I'm convinced now.
Yeah, no, I mean, this week, 10 targets, caught all 10, 86 yards, 16.8 fantasy points. He did lose a fumble, or he would have had 18.8. But this was Evan Ingram's best week of the season. But again, when you look at the season, week 1, he only had 5 targets. Other than that, 4 consecutive weeks with 8. 2 weeks after that with 7, and then this week with 10. For tight ends, I
That's
mean,
crazy.
target-wise, you have like Travis Kelce, T.J. Hawkinson, and Evan Ingram. Like, he's getting more targets than Mark Andrews consistently, and it's just insane to see. And the craziest part about Evan Ingram is he's currently the tight end 5. He hasn't caught a touchdown. He hasn't got a single touchdown, and I guarantee you by season end he will.
Travis Etienne gets all the damn touchdowns on the Jaguars. That's why.
Yeah, no, I mean,
I don't know if he'll get one. They're all gonna go to Travis.
yeah, but we love Evan Ingram, and
yeah.
to close it
great.
To close it with ETN, I mean, he's just been incredible for the Jaguars. 24 carries, 79 yards, 3 catches on 6 targets for 70 yards, a touchdown, 25.9 fantasy points. He's currently the running back 2. That is his 4th week in a row above 20 points. He's
a monster.
Everything.
He's a
season.
monster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
if you picked Travis Etienne, good for you.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's how simple it is. You're not going to have to choose who to start between any of these guys next week because they'll be on bye. But ETN's an every week start. Ingram's an every week start. Calvin Ridley, you're going to have to start him, especially these next couple weeks. Same with Christian Kirk. But if Zay Jones comes back, I'm just curious to see what happens. Yeah, how he kind of eats into that. And then on the other side of the ball.
Oh my God.
Kenny Pickett. 10 for 16, 73 yards. A carry for 10 yards. 3.92 fantasy points. Played 42% of snaps before leaving with that rib injury. He is going to be.
He fumbled too.
Yeah, he did fumble. Left with the rib injury. He's a game time decision for week 9. They play Thursday night against the Titans. If he is unable to go, we're going to see Mitch Trubisky, who finished this game. If I told you coming into week 9, you'd be looking at a Mitch Trubisky, Will Levis Thursday night matchup. I mean, it's just, what are we talking about? But it's where we're at.
We'll watch it for you guys, don't worry.
Yeah.
You don't have to watch it. We'll watch it for you.
He played better than Pickett, fantasy-wise, for your receivers on this team. Trubisky, 15 of 27, 138 yards, a touchdown, 2 picks, 3 carries, 18 yards. He
played better for the Jags defense.
No, 9.3 fantasy points, 58% of snaps.
He's so bad.
He is, but I'm just saying, through the air, completions and yards wise, if you have Pickens or Deontay, it was kind of better. Deontay actually had a very solid week. People forgot that he is the definitive wide receiver 1 here, and I feel like they were reminded of that this week. He caught 8 catches for 85 yards, 14 targets, 16.5. Welcome back, Deontay. And then George Pickens caught 1 pass for 22 yards, which was a touchdown, thankfully. 9.2 fantasy points, only 5 targets.
Yeah.
And it's...
Told you that boy can't get no separation.
No, unless he's pushing, right? But someone who was involved was Connor Hayward. He had 6 targets, caught 5 of them, 24 yards, 7.4 fantasy points. I'm not starting him by any means at all.
Nah.
But
name I've been saying, though.
Yeah, but a solid week for him. And then we look at the running backs, and it's right around what we thought. Najee, 7 carries, 13 yards, 5 targets through the air, which saved him fantasy-wise. Caught all 5, 42 yards, 10.5 fantasy points, 52% of snaps. Were you going to say something?
This is the 2nd week in a row that we've seen him get more catches than Jalen Warren.
Mm-hmm.
or the third, actually, I think. But
Yeah, he is getting more work out of the backfield through the air at least. But again, he just can't run the ball efficiently at all. So it's just
the team as a whole can't.
no. Yeah, the team as a whole. It's just Najee's one of those guys where, the catches out the backfield of recent are saving his fantasy weeks, but you really need a touchdown for him to have like a good fantasy
A
week.
good week. Them boys combined 12 for 32 yards.
Yeah. Jalen Warren, 5 carries, 19 yards. 4 catches for 19 yards on 5 targets, 7.8 fantasy points, 48% of snaps. And Jalen Warren, it's what we said though, 7.8 fantasy points. He's not going to give you a 0 or a 1 or a 2. He's going to give you like a 7 to 10 or 11. And if you start him, that's just what you have to be happy with.
This garbage team is going to end up making the playoffs.
Probably. Mike Tomlin always finds a way.
Yeah, it's because the coach is so damn good.
Yeah, but when I look at, the Steelers coming into this next week, the Titans do have a very good run defense. I like Deontay. I like George Pickens because they're going to have to pass the ball, but Najee and Jalen just depends the buys and what your roster looks like, but I personally don't like either of them as the start. I don't think Trubisky, even George Pickens is a bit scary to me. I just don't think Trubisky's going to be able to do very much.
You probably got to throw him out there, but...
Yeah. Do you have anything else for the Steelers? I'm sure you could go on for hours, but...
Hell no. Nah.
All right, well, that'll do it for this one, Kind of an ugly game. Jags 20-10 win. It is what it is. Again, any comments, questions, advice you may need, feel free to drop it in the comments, and we will be back with the next video.